My name is Barnaby Howarth. I'm a type 1 diabetic and a stroke survivor. But I'm also an ex-AFL footballer for the Sydney Swans, an author, a filmmaker. I've climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and about 6 weeks ago I played my 100th game of AFL for my local footy club, the Pennant Demons. In 2005 I was having a drink with 3 friends from footy, and on the way home one of my mates didn't like the way that kid was looking at him, and things got out of hand really quickly. My mate threw this kid on the ground and started kicking him while he was down. So I ran over and grabbed my mate and told him he was being a peanut. My mate was king hit from behind, and then while he was lying on the ground unconscious, guys stood around him and just started kicking him in the head. So I ran over and shoved the kickers off, and that's the last thing I remember. Apparently I was king hit myself and then kicked in the head a few times while I was out as well. I woke up a couple of minutes after the fight. My life carried on perfectly normally for the next 7 days. Turns out somewhere during the fight an artery in my brainstem had been torn, and it turns out somewhere during footy I copped a knock that dislodged a bit of the gunk and caused a stroke. That's when I was rushed to ICU, and my parents were told they might have to turn off my life support. My family and friends were told to come and say goodbye. But when I finally got a grip on the reality of my situation, things didn't look too good. They explained to me that I'd had a stroke, and I had the stroke on the Thursday, and I'd been unconscious all weekend, and that I'd missed my game of footy that weekend, and I was spewing. Essentially what the stroke did was that it wiped clear all the signals I'd built up from my brain to the left side of my body over my 25 years of existence. So I was going to have to teach my left side how to operate again. When I had the stroke, I was on 96 games for my local club, the Pennant Demons, but I put a line through my footy career, thinking that any chance of playing footy was over.
Barnaby was first known to me as a player back in the late 90s when my son joined the club, and the families, the Howarth and the Parker families, have a bit of an affiliation through a couple of unfortunate events. Unfortunately, 2005, Barnaby, while captain of the club, suffered the incident and the stroke, which was very dramatic at the time. And going on from there, Barnaby came out of hospital, survived, and about 6 months later he was looking to build himself up. I had a gym at home, and I gave it to him, and they came around and picked it up in the trailer. As they were going down the drive, Barnaby says he wanted to pay me money, and I said no, the reward for that is I want you back on the footy field. And he's progressed, and he's been involved with the club ever since, been running water and doing all the other things around the club. And earlier this year he started his motivational speaking, and at a game against East Coast about 5 or 6 weeks ago he wanted to do a motivational talk after the game, which he did. When I was introducing him, I suddenly thought about his games record where he was on 96, and at the end of the speech I said to him in front of everyone, "Fat man, I'm going to get you back on the ground and we're going to play the 100. And I said, but you need a medical clearance, and we need to go through all the right channels. Within about 48 hours, Barnaby was on the phone saying he's got the medical clearance booked for later in the week, and he'd be at training on Thursday night. So I thought, gee, I've got myself into something here. So it went from there. He played his 97th, 98th, 99th, and here we are today with a huge crowd at Pennant Hills, and he's played his 100th game. So it's a fitting tribute to a guy that football means so much to him.
Hey boys, I freaking love this club. I love the culture, I love the people out there. I love you blokes, especially, where's Jared? I love you, Jared, especially. But all this culture and emotion and all that stuff, that can wait until after at the pub having a few beers. Right now, we've got a game of footy to win. So let's just go out there. First touch of the footy is all you need to be thinking about. Don't worry about what's happening tonight or tomorrow or the culture of this club in 8 years. It's still going to be the same, trust me. Been there, done that. So let's just go and have this first 5 minutes, smash the door on your way out. Let's go and tear these blokes apart.
I wasn't particularly fussed about him doing it, to tell you the truth. I thought he couldn't see well enough and it was dangerous, he might get hurt. But from the first night when he went to practice and came home with a spark in his eye and a smile on his dial about being in the change rooms and being on the ground with the boys and back to footy was kind of emotional and outstanding, I think. He was so excited about it. So from there on in, he had my full support and had Russell's all the way through.
Particularly seeing that just after the stroke, the thought of playing football was non-existent. We had thoughts of question marks about walking and normal living. So he got back on his feet, that was good. But never entertained football until recent times. And he's just loved it. People go, I've played on cloud 9, Barnes about 109 at the moment, which is great for him.
It's a pretty big deal. My partner and I were talking about coming over and whether we would or not. And the clincher was, it's really important for our boys to see someone go through what Barnes has gone through and just get up and keep going. It's a really important life lesson that we want our boys to have in them as well growing up.
Yeah, pretty impressive. Would be the best way to answer that, given where he's come from was life support at one point, wheelchairs and rehab and learning how to do everything again. So just the fact that I don't think people really appreciate how difficult it is for him to actually physically pick up a football and throw it onto his boot or try and get a handball. So seeing him learn how to do everything again, like eat, and then other stuff like kicking footballs is pretty impressive.
While it feels like this has all been about one individual, as you can see here today, this has been about bringing the club together. And I don't think Barnaby's realised what sort of contributions he's making to the welfare of this club.
100 games. What do you got to say?
I've got to say, come on you demons, and I'm done. Thanks everyone.
That's the result of the team today.
Today's game, the 100th game for Pennant, is probably the most significant thing I've done since I had my stroke. My first game back was sensational. I didn't realise it would mean as much as it did. And I thought, oh yeah, this would be cool. I like playing footy, this would be fun. But it's just, the emotion of it just snowballed, and it means a lot more than I thought it would coming back. Probably the 5 minutes before the game was the best part of it. Just being in the change rooms with all the boys, talking about tactics and trying to psych ourselves up, and then running out with them all in that Demons jersey was one of the best things I've done in the last 8 years. But this to me just proves that normal is good enough.